What is up, everybody? Welcome to my show. I got all dressed up and fancy for Mr. Dave Tuchman, and I appreciate that you did too, Dave. You're looking stunning.
Thank you so much. I am in my, I have my world coming to an end, the apocalypse haircut that my wife did for me. My hair I was overdue for a haircut right around March 1st, and I was like, oh, you know what? I had an 888 live. Well, I had an 888 live trip planned at the end of the month. So I was like, you know what? Let me hold off. I'll have some I'll have a little bit of a Jufro going on for like 10 more days. And then I figured I'd get the haircut like mid-March so my hair would look really good for 888 Live in Romania. Well, obviously we all know what happened. So, once I couldn't get the haircut, I was like, okay, I got to do something. It was driving me nuts. It was starting to get hot. I had this like huge thing going on top of my head. I don't know what it was, like a freaking chia pet. So I started shaving it, and my wife was like, you look like an idiot. You're an asshole. Let me do that for you.
Did she say that before even the hair thing?
Yeah, she actually peeked outside and said, don't shave it all off. If you look like an asshole, I'm not letting you back in. To quote her. So then she came out and realized that she didn't really know how to cut hair and just said, okay, I'm just shaving it all off. So apparently cutting hair is more complicated than you thought.
I know, actually it is. I just don't wash it. I haven't washed my hair in I think over a week now. And
it looks stunning.
I have dry shampoo. This is one thing that women have figured out that men haven't caught on to yet. You just spray the shit out of your hair and it's like you just washed it. It's amazing.
Right. Okay. I mean, I've done that where I have my shower has like 3 different places. Like I had the rainforest thing, then I have the normal one coming out of the wall, and then I've got a hose. So sometimes when I'm feeling, I don't have time for a shower, I'm just feeling like I just want to kind of I will take the hose out, spray my head. It'll kind of wake me up, and then I can throw a little gel in it. I want to look smarter.
Secrets by Dave Tuchman.
What do you think?
Fantastic. I mean, like anything should help here.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know I love you. So you and I have been friends for a while. You kind of got caught in the, not in the middle, but you've been lightly involved in this whole Stone scandal. You used to come up and do commentary. You've played in my game many times. And I did an interview of Jake actually just this weekend, and I put your video up after asking you, of course, of Mike Postle. And that was one of the games where he was cheating. And then you started recording after the live stream ended, and he was unable to cheat, and he ended up folding the best hand and played bad like he does in real life.
So the live stream ended, but we got some action here. So we're playing like four-handed right now. What was the action here? So, Sash, you opened to the 60. Roland made it 200. Mike P called 200. Here's the chips. Then it came back over, 860 for Sash. Roland went 2,500. There you go, boys. Look at that.
Come get some.
Hey, come get some.
And
Mike,
nobody has pocket aces more than this fucking guy right here. This fucking guy.
I lost them all.
Yeah.
so it's an interesting spot here. We're like four-handed right now. I'm busy folding every hand over here.
Here, can we get... Here.
Sure. Mike P's hand. There's Roland.
We got
There's
like,
the original open, the 3-bet, the call, the 4-bet, and then the 5-bet. Action on Mike P. It's pretty exciting here at Stones. Mike, what are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking,
Go home and get sex.
how did this fucking guy get in the game? Like, who fucking let this guy in the game?
We actually, Roland, enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alicia no longer in the game.
I hope to be back.
Oh, really?
I'm rising from the ashes, apparently, though.
Like the phoenix. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. He gave
And
me
then
shoes,
Sash
I'll
over
give
here.
you fucking shoes for life. So this guy don't get in the damn game.
Sash not looking that happy right now.
I mean,
I'm working on it still.
I don't know. It's really weird. That's a hell of a speech. If you're all in if you call, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I could.
I don't want to be in it.
I can leave $100.
Hostel, you
I
drive
can leave $100.
Hostel.
You're like $70.
You drive
You
it.
get a call and then fold for 100 at the end of the flop.
In fact. Yeah, thank you. Get it, girl.
Damn it.
Yeah, we're taking his keys. Got it. We'll wait for you.
See, the one bonus of being card dead all night is I don't have these situations.
All right, thank you. No, we're just.
This is hilarious.
Hey, Johnny boy. John.
This is humorous.
Jackie.
Wow, and Mike P. folds.
I'm gonna make a hero fold.
Are you show it?
Just for the camera. Just for the camera.
I'll show it.
Just for the camera.
And here it is, show. Oh, show bluff, show bluff.
I can't show it.
Oh!
Wait. Don't move.
You want to see the? You want to see?
All right,
see a flop.
you got to pay for the.
Mike, he folded a better
You
hand.
gotta pay for the
He
rest.
folded queens.
$5.
You mucked queens?
Unfucking real.
What, Queens?
How do you fucking 5-bet?
What?
Oh!
How do you fucking 5-bet?
That would have been sick.
Fuck!
What just happened? You folded Queens?
You mucked queens.
How do you fucking 4-bet 7 dudes?
You gonna leave me hanging? Mike, you gonna leave me hanging?
It's a mandatory 4-bet.
Mike, you gonna leave me hanging?
Mike, he's hanging.
Mike,
Hey, I lost
You
the
fucking
most.
hang.
dude, it didn't cost you any money.
I lost the most here. No.
Stone's live poker, guys.
Queens. He just
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I don't know if it was actually a bad fold.
No,
For those of you,
but given the way he plays on
right.
stream,
He did not make a godlike read like he normally would, and it's
Right.
funny by itself. The video is kind of really not that all that exciting. Two things. First of all, I feel like I was very connected because I remember when Justin first wanted to do streaming, Roger Bailey actually introduced me to Justin. I came up there. I feel like I was probably one of the first people that he brought up, as like an invited guest. And, Justin and I became friends through that. And, I met you and I became friends with lots of the crew up there. And I kind of viewed Stones as like a second home to me in terms of like poker. Like obviously I didn't live there, so I didn't play very often, but I knew all the dealers and I knew all the people that work there and the waitresses. And it was really nice. So when this happened, it hurt because that was kind of a second home to me, and because I had played up there and I had streamed up there. It hurt obviously because I was friends with Justin and never really got a straight answer from him. And I guess his silence speaks volumes.
So
But-
did you reach out to Justin after? it went
Numerous
public?
times. Oh, tons and tons. I mean, because I was supposed to go up that week. You and I were supposed to commentate that week.
Oh,
That Friday, we were supposed to commentate. And
yes, I actually forgot about that. I remember texting you before I went public, and I was
Right.
like, I think he's cheating, and I'm going public with it. And I just didn't think there was another option. And you were like, we're doing commentary on Friday. Can you wait? And I'm like, I don't think this can wait. I think
Right.
this is a big deal. And you were joking, of course. But yeah, we were supposed to do commentary.
I was going to do commentary. I had a trip planned
Friday.
for that and everything. And I remember reaching out to Justin being like, yo, what's going on? And at first, this is well before it was actually out, before it was like, this is when you were being bashed.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get that. But anyway, though, I've always felt like I was compelled to be, I was in some way like a supporting part of this story, which is one of the reasons why I felt compelled to put out a 5-hour podcast on this, which
Yes.
you and I had Mac, the lawyer, involved in this. I had,
Squish my tomato.
yeah, I had Switched My Tomato on it. And, I just felt compelled. I was like, okay, I've got to talk about this a little bit for people that don't know what's going on. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. I remember reaching out to Justin that the week right when you came out with it, but before everybody was calling you a bitch and you were an asshole about this at that point.
I mean, I am outside of this circumstance, but yeah.
Yeah, these are not mutually exclusive
This is-
things.
Yeah.
But at that point, though, those are the reasons for it. And I remember reaching out, and Justin was like, yeah, just a bunch of people who they can't explain why this guy's winning, so they'll just come out and say he's cheating. And I was like, okay, man, so there's nothing going on? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Then I reached out again, same story. Then I finally reached out when it started getting bigger and bigger. I reached out again. Bud, I don't really feel comfortable coming up. And his answer was just like, okay, bye. Like, basically, subtext being, okay, you're dead to me, go fuck yourself. And I was like, wow. Like, not even like, man, hey, I understand, hopefully this thing will blow over. So, I mean, I spoke to Art, the manager up there, and I've had many bottles of his wine. And when I told him that I wasn't going to come up, he was like, hey, man, completely understand. We're going to try to figure this out. I get it, But Justin was quite the opposite. And then after that, I've sent him at least a half a dozen texts, messages, and I've just radio silence, completely been ghosted by him.
So what is your perception? And if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. But what's your perception of Justin's involvement after seeing everything? And I'm sure you've gone through some of Joey's videos, and I don't know how much stuff you've dived into on your own, but I feel like we all couldn't help but watch in the first week, watch all of this unravel. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was very much involved in the beginning of the story when it first came out, and I was watching all of Joey's videos. And
well,
because
you and Bart are pretty much best friends, and Bart and I were communicating quite a bit when I first went to Justin thinking that something was going on. So I'm sure you and Bart, we're discussing this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think calling somebody a cheater in the poker world, in this world that we're in, is, that's a big thing. You're basically saying that, you're basically cutting their head off the snake, and that's the analogy I can use.
But how much weight would it have if it wasn't true?
I'm sorry, say it again?
How much weight would my tweets have had if he wasn't cheating and it was shown that he was fine? You know what I mean? Like, the weight is only calling someone a cheater only has
no, of course not, and obviously depending, right? Well, it depends who's calling the person a cheater.
Well, I think anybody. I think had Joey gone through like 40 hours of videos and it showed that he wasn't cheating and I in fact was wrong, that weight would have been lifted off of my experience.
No, I agree. I think, but if obviously before this, I was very familiar with, and people that were in the poker community, especially the Northern California poker community, knew who you were and knew of you and all those things. But if, let's just say it was just some random player, let's just say Squish My Tomato had come out and said, this guy's cheating. They'd be like, come on, dude, you lost a little bit to him. It's like, it's just the bigger the person's name. Like if Bart Hansen came out and said somebody was a cheater, I believe that his words would hold more gravity than if just some random player did that. And then obviously, depending on who you are, if Matt Savage calls somebody a cheater,
right,
you're guilty before the evidence comes out. I mean, it's just like, good luck recovering from that. So I just think those are some heavy words to say, with regards to Justin. Obviously it doesn't look good. I don't know if anything new has come out since, Stone's Live has been shut down and everything broke. I have no idea where Justin is now. I don't know if anybody knows where he is. Do you?
I mean, I have people texting me all the time, multiple people giving me tidbits of things they hear, and I've seen some text messages and stuff. So Justin's still in the area, and
What's he doing?
I'm not sure if he's doing anything. I know he's still communicating with Postle. I know that they're still working together somewhat because that Rounders Life magazine that's affiliated with Postle put out a pro Justin article to try to help him some way. It just screams to me, if you're a tournament director and you're running Stones and you kick out the IT guy who's trying to run the tech portion, and you become this one-man operation with no oversight, and then someone says, hey, someone might be cheating in your game, wouldn't you say, oh my gosh, these are strong words, we need to look into this, let's
especially if it's Bart Hansen. Especially if it's somebody like Bart Hansen who's saying that. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it looks off at the minimum. At minimum, Justin is guilty of being an idiot and being incompetent. I just can't imagine. That's at minimum. Right. So it's like, I think I said this, and people said this. It's like that scene in Casino when De Niro fires the congressman's nephew or whatever.
Or
and he's
nephew,
like,
yeah.
3 fucking jackpots in 20 minutes? Why didn't you pull the machines? Why didn't you call me?
Well, it happened so quick. 3 guys won. I didn't have a chance to call
You
you.
see the scam? You didn't see what was going on?
Well, there's no way to determine that,
Yes,
Sam.
there is. An infallible way. They won.
Well, it's a casino. People got to win sometimes.
Hey, Ward, you're pissing me off. Now you're insulting my intelligence. What do you think, I'm a fucking idiot? You know goddamn well somebody had to get into those machines and set those fucking reels. The probability on 1 4-reel machine is 1.5 million to 1. On 3 machines in a row, it's in the billions. It cannot happen. Would not happen. You fucking Momo, what's the matter with you? Didn't you see you being set up on the second win?
I really think
Wait, you didn't see that you were being set up on the second win?
I really think you're overreacting.
Listen,
to
you
this whole...
fucking yokel, I had it with you. I've been carrying your ass in this place ever since I got here. Get your ass and get your things and get out of here.
You're firing me?
I'm firing you. No, I'm not firing. I'm firing you.
You might regret this, Mr. Rothstein.
I'll regret it even more if I keep you on.
This is not the way to treat people.
Listen, if you didn't know you're being scammed, you're too fucking dumb to keep this job. If you did know you were in on it, either way, you're out. Get out. Go on.
For being incompetent.
you're
whether
either
he's
in
involved
on
or
it or you're a fucking idiot, you know? And it's one of the
Either
two.
way.
And either way, he's
Yeah.
either way, he's unhireable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're running a live stream and there are accusations from a reputable source that there is cheating going on.
And this reputable source you're referencing, Bart, because Bart reached out to Justin.
It literally reached out months and months before, like, hey, this might be happening. You might want to look into it. Plus, by the way, the way you run your secure house is not secure at all. It's ridiculous.
Bart actually was the person who convinced me to go talk to Justin because I didn't know how to approach this because December 2018, I thought Mike was cheating. I was considering that. And then I was going back and forth with Bart and I think we talked on the phone and he said, the best thing to do is talk to Justin. This is Justin's baby. He loves the live stream. He's got great integrity. Talk to him. And then it couldn't have gone worse. I shared with everyone those screenshots of the text messages I had with Bart.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, am I going to come on here and say that Justin was definitely cheating? No, I can't. I respect anybody's opinion. I respect the fact that I know you think he was in on it, and I think that's probably the more likely scenario.
Yeah.
But under the
but honestly,
possibility
and I tell people there's no difference at this point between him actually being involved and him doing everything possible to not help the situation. You know what I mean? Being completely
well, that's the fact, right? The fact of the matter is, what's happened after is even more alarming. Like, if you weren't in on this, why wouldn't you be the first one to come out and be like, okay, shit, I fucked up. I need to figure out like what's going on here and try to save my face. And I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if it's what's going on. By the way, what is going on up at Stone's right now? I'm intrigued.
Stone's is closed now because of the COVID-19.
Right. But what was?
But so apparently he's still on staff, but just on unpaid leave for the time being.
Oh, so okay. So he's so he has no problem doing nothing. I was curious what he was doing.
Justin? Oh yeah, he's not working. I think he's living with his parents or something.
But you said he's on paid, but he's on paid leave.
Unpaid leave.
Unpaid leave. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Fair enough.
It's my Canadian accent.
No, totally. That's a big difference. So unpaid leave, right?
Yeah, and I think that given the situation, I think Stones has probably advised him to shut up. And I think Stones is doing everything they can to minimize their not involvement, but like their responsibility in the whole thing.
Well, I mean, I think if the interesting thing is, and I don't know if we'll ever know this or not, is if Bart, you, and others went to Justin and told him about, the allegations and the suspicions, and he didn't go any higher, then I would imagine, and I'm not a lawyer, I'd have to ask Mac this, but I would imagine that the upper management at Stones would be off the hook. and Justin would be the fall guy for it all. It just depends how high it went. Now, if Justin was involved in this or Justin was just incompetent, my guess is that Justin didn't go any higher. I could be wrong.
Yes, because I don't think he really did. And
Right.
Art trusted him immensely.
Right.
I still
In all
think
fairness, so
Stone's
did
liable.
I did.
Stone's
trusted
still
him.
liable, whether he went up the chain of command or not. He broke the chain of command.
He was employed, right? He was employed by them at that time, so clearly they're liable. It's just a question of, is it a question of, okay, is Stone's just found to be, somewhat incompetent in this? It shouldn't be happening under their roof, under their supervision, and they've got to pay a nice fine, fire the people that were involved, and then move on, which is a small price to pay.
Well,
or does it get bigger?
I think firing people that were involved shows that there was something going on, so they're not going to do that.
Right.
I think.
Oh, has anything happened since though in terms of investigation? Because I'm not really in the loop now, as opposed to.
Come on. What do you think this is? You think there's going to be all of a sudden transparency now? You think that suddenly Stone's is going to be like, oh, we were wrong. Something happened, but you know what?
No, I wasn't sure, but I wasn't sure. Like, I know the feds came. I wasn't sure if there was any progress.
The feds didn't come. California DOJ came.
Gaming.
The feds didn't come. But
okay, so
gaming
did they do anything?
Care. So gaming doesn't care unless you're stealing from the casino. Gaming doesn't care about players stealing from players.
Okay, fair enough. That's sad, but yeah.
But the feds might.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, so basically, since you broke in the story, and then Joey obviously expounded upon that and did that, 1,000-hour podcast over, 10 or so, and kind of just went through everything where it's now like, 99.98% sure that this guy is cheating. Has nothing happened since then, basically? Are we basically at that point where it's like, cool, nothing's happened since then?
Well, yeah. I mean, the amount of time that has passed has given Mike some confidence. So now, and he has a lot of time in his hands. He's been on quarantine before COVID-19. And so I think there was a lot of silence, and now they're trying to vilify me, which is fun. Go ahead.
Are they? Who's they?
I think it's Postle. Like, Postle's the mental one of them all. Postle has all of these accounts that will go dark after he's arrested or whatever happens to him.
But you say vilify you in what way? And what could they possibly say to vilify you?
So they're basically, rather than proving that he wasn't cheating, he's trying to vilify me. So apparently he's working on videos about how badly I played to show that he played just as badly and he's not cheating. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But in his mind, these things make sense. They're just
proving that you're a
bad.
I can. Me. It took you 7 minutes to call me with a set on Live at the Bike. I mean, we need evidence that you're not a good poker player.
Shut up. Look, I folded a boat to Bart, and I was right.
I'm kidding. Please, but you've actually improved a lot from way back when.
I'm terrible, and every time I improve,
but who cares? But
everyone else gets so much.
The fact that you're a bad poker player. So wait, is the case basically? Veronica's a bad poker player, and she's jealous. She's jealous of my abilities, so she's doing whatever she can to bring me down.
Right. You didn't.
By the way, I'm just curious. So is Justin Bonomo and Sean Deeb next for you on your list?
Yes.
You're single-handedly going to take down every single person who's better than you. It's basically my way of any guy who's really good looking or better looking than me is gay.
Yeah. I'm going after Phil Galfond, actually. Why stop at these bottom dwellers? I'm going to the top.
You should. That's what I mean. I mean, listen, it worked for Doug Polk. I mean, Doug Polk just goes after the top dog and vaults himself.
Who comes back after a $900,000 downswing?
Well, hopefully Phil Galfond, because I've got not only am I commentating on that challenge, I'll be on tomorrow. Is it today Wednesday?
Today is Tuesday.
Okay, so no, I'm off Thursday. We're back at it at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Check it out. This is probably going to be out afterwards, isn't it?
I'm going to try to put this out today.
Okay, good. So you guys can watch it. I'm
then
on
we can
11 a.m. Eastern time. Galfond.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say, Vinny Vidi has He's taking another break. He took a break, came back for like 3 sessions, taking another break. The guy is reeling. He is on the run.
$3,000 a day for a break, right?
Yeah, 3,000 euros a day to take a break. But the fact that he just took one and taking another one, Galfond's down to 150,000. We're back at it. It's on Run It Once Poker's Twitch channel, 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's been amazing. And in this like day and age of quarantine, it's been so much fun. And I had to drop a little bit. I actually put a little bit of money on Galfond winning the challenge now. And I have him at,
nice.
Yeah, I have him at 2-1, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, I mean, you're typically not great at bets because you lost that Trump bet with me.
Oh.
So talk to me about the Phil.
I feel like we all lost the Trump bet, though.
We
didn't
we did.
Yeah.
I lost too, even though I won money.
We all right, exactly. But you were
We're
smart
all
enough.
Losing now.
You were smart enough to hedge, though. So you were like, I mean, that's what I probably should have.
But we had this bet. So I bet with you and Andrew Barber. We had this bet before he was even the nominee. And my bet was parlayed with he's going to get the nomination and the presidency, right?
But it's when you made that bet with me, it was such a bad bet for you.
It was. But
and you still won, and you got 5-1 on that.
Thankfully, my high variance play.
Yeah, thankfully we only bet $100. So.
You were willing to bet 1,000.
Oh,
or you were willing to.
I thought you were just giving me money.
Yeah, you were willing to take a good amount. Andrew Barber had to get my name tattooed on his butt, and I offered him a cash buyout.
Did he take it, or?
He took the cash buyout. We negotiated. I think it was like I can't remember because I donated it to charity. Actually, I think it was like $8,500 to GiveWell.org.
That's great. Wow. See, I would have done something like, okay, give me a couple thousand, take me to a really nice dinner, and then donate 6,000 to charity. Because I'm not as nice as you.
I think I'm doing okay. I'd rather give it to GiveWell.
Well done, Fia. Well done. I like that. Hey, by the way, how are you holding up in these quarantining days?
I've got my mask. Sorry, it's hard to see in the camera,
right.
Backwards. I've got my mask that I wear to the grocery store if I go. I'm basically not even leaving my house for jogging anymore. I'm doing shuffle dancing now on TikTok.
Do you want to do it now together? Let's go.
No.
High legs.
I'm not wearing pants. I'm just wearing this blazer and top because I wanted to look nice for you, but there's no pants here.
I'm not wearing underwear.
Stop.
Sorry, what?
Stop. None of us want to see that.
Nah, I was going to say my wife, but not even her.
Well, you're married now.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you a few things. So you gave us an update on the Galfond challenge. How have you been enjoying doing commentary on that? Because I feel like everything's halted now, so you still get to do commentary.
I love it. Honestly, it was when Galfond announced it, I immediately reached out to him like, hey, who's commentating on this? I'd like to be involved. I'm a big believer if you want something, you go out and try to get it.
Yeah, a hungry mouth doesn't get fed if it's closed.
Yeah, good point. There you go. I've always had a ton of respect for Phil as the poker player, and I've also had a ton of respect for Phil, the person. And while I'm not affiliated at all with Run It Once Poker, I kind of want to support people that are great for our poker community and, for the passion that I have. So I was like, hey, listen, I want to be involved. And, he was talking about it and we were going back and forth. And he was like, hey, listen, I'd love to have you and Stapes kind of go back and forth and do, he'll do 4, then he'll take some time off. You do a quick view. And I said, great idea. And we kind of settled. I was like, listen, I've got a lot of things going on. I'm traveling a bunch. He's like, well, work around your schedule. I was like, you are awesome. Thanks. And I was like, so maybe I'll do like 1 a week. And then Stapes do a couple a week and we'll figure it out. And he goes, yeah, no problem. And then this hit. And I was like, yeah, I'll do as many as you want now because I'm stuck at home. And I will say that I've commentated on so much poker in my life. Very rarely am I like nervous going into a job, but I was a little bit nervous going into this one because, covering 2 world-class players playing Pot Limit Omaha on 2 tables, not 1, with whole cards down.
Right.
Was a whole different animal. It's like, I've covered back in 2012, we did the World Series of Poker with no hole cards. And I did an entire summer, but it was 1 table and things happen pretty slowly. And there's a lot of time to kind of analyze certain situations, But I always noticed that heads up was really hard because it's very difficult to put people on ranges in heads up poker, obviously. What's his range? Everything.
Yeah.
Like we know he doesn't have quad deuces right now because people don't play that hand in PLO. But I mean, short of that, it's like, what is his range? It's so wide in certain spots. So I was actually kind of nervous. I was like, I don't know, man. This might be a big challenge for me, which kind of got me excited. I felt like it was my first time acting again, and I was on the stage, and there was going to be, a bunch of people watching, and I'm like, oh God, I hope I don't forget my lines. And it's been a great learning experience. I've had a lot more fun with it than I thought I was. I thought it might be a drag at times. I thought I'm gonna be like, all cards down. How am I gonna keep this interesting? And between the Twitch chat, and we've had between 2,000 and 4,000 people almost every day watching. Between Twitch chat and the guests that I've had on, we've had a ton of fun. It's like, I'm not even bullshitting. I mean, I really enjoy it. And if you guys have not heard, if you've not watched it, I will tell you, we're on for like 5 hours on Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern to like 4 p.m., right around there. Come watch it for 20 minutes, and it's fun. We have a good time. We try to keep it like light and fun, exciting, and so thank you to Phil. Thank you to Phil for keeping me like somewhat employed during this time, because I was actually I would have just returned from Romania today for an 888 live event, which obviously didn't happen. Barcelona's in mid-May. Yeah. Let's be honest. We know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, the World Series is June 1st.
This was my next question.
I have not heard anything.
It looks like it's still on, but I mean, they haven't officially canceled it, right?
Listen, I made this. I told everybody this on Twitter because a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's irresponsible of the World Series to not cancel this." This was 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I'm going, why would you expect any company to cancel something 11, 12 weeks in advance when they don't need to? There's no upside for them canceling it before they need to, Now, I don't think they're going to wait till May 27th to cancel it or postpone it. But the same thing with 888 Live. Like the Barcelona thing, my assumption is that it will be canceled at some point. But my assumption also is that it probably won't be canceled until, the last week of April. And my guess would be the World Series of Poker as well. Maybe at the end of the month, maybe midway through this month. I don't know. But hopefully postponed.
Now, do they reach out to you and communicate what their plans could potentially be? Because I'm curious if it could just be postponed till the winter rather than canceled completely. It would be heartbreaking for all of us to not be able to have a World Series of Poker 2020.
Yeah, I mean, okay, number one, they don't reach out to me at all. I have a really good relationship with Ty Stewart and Jack Effel and, all those people and, Maury and Poker Productions and Poker Go. But I am very far down their priority list of who they should be contacting. You know what I mean? This would be one of those things where I could get a call on May 3rd, be like, it's going on. We're going to commentate. You're going to do it from home. Do you want the job or not? So I am very far down the list, and I don't get the word of that. Now, I could reach out to somebody and be like, hey, what do you think? And I did reach out to somebody at the World Series of Poker probably 6 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, when Timex and Doug Polk and Bill Perkins were all like offering bets on the World Series being canceled.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, guys, really canceled? Because my thought process was, if the World Series is canceled, then we're fucked, right? So I reached out to somebody I knew at the World Series who, is pretty high up. And I asked him, and he said, I don't think we're going to be canceled. He goes, if we're canceled, but keep in mind, this was 5 weeks ago. The world has changed an insane amount in 5 weeks. But he said, I don't think we're canceled. If we're canceled, that means there's no baseball, there's no basketball, there's no concerts. Well, fast forward 5 weeks, there's no baseball, there's no basketball, there's no concerts. So, we're at that point. And those bets by Timex and everybody else just look like genius right now, right? But yeah, I mean, in terms of, so my best guess, and again, I have no inside information at all. My best guess would be that it is not going to go on as scheduled. I think it would be, I just can't imagine us being like, yeah, let's put 100,000 people in a small space, exchanging chips and cards over 6 weeks. But can it be postponed? The question behind that is, can Caesars Interactive and can the World Series of Poker secure enough space somewhere, whether it be the Rio or another venue, to make this happen?
Well, I mean, what does the Rio have something else going on
They have the Rio convention
There's
area.
no way there's anything else in Vegas besides the World Series of Poker.
Right. The convention area is on a yearly basis. That convention area is pretty much booked.
Yeah.
Like 365, 24/7.
I mean, there's multiple
you know,
convention centers in Vegas, and they're all pretty booked all the time. It's Convention Central.
Now, my guess would be, though, with the economy, falling apart as it is, there's going to be maybe less travel. Maybe some of these conventions are canceled. And my guess is the World Series of Poker is too iconic and too much of a moneymaker for Caesars to not at least try to schedule at some point later on in the year.
Even a smaller version, I think, would be
I think that would be, to me, it makes a lot of sense. If it is postponed in June, to me, it would make a lot of sense to try to secure like a 3-week series, maybe sometime in October or November, right around the time when the World Series of Poker Europe would happen.
Yeah.
So you get rid of World Series of Poker Europe this year. You put the World Series of Poker on instead for 3-4 weeks. And, instead of 75 bracelets awarded in 2020, we have 31 awarded at a main event. I don't know what kind of contract they have with King's Casino and Rosvedov, if that's even possible. Because King's Casino might be like, nope, we're doing it. I mean, they might have paid a certain amount of money where they're getting it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that can't happen. And that would be the only logistical nightmare. But again, I'm not privy to anything. This is just pure guesswork by my part. But I mean, I can't imagine us all being like, World Series? Yeah, I'm there, June 1st.
Yeah, I mean, when in your lifetime have you ever seen a casino close?
That's the point. Exactly. I mean, casinos are closed. Amusement parks are closed. Sporting events are closed. This is, unprecedented in all of our lifetimes.
Well,
my parents are 77 and they've never seen anything like this.
I was attacked for fear-mongering when I tweeted about, I don't know if it was like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, about China shutting down an entire 13 million person city and then spraying the streets with Lysol. And I'm just like, something's going down and it's not looking good. This is insane.
Right. People didn't realize that. I think people assume that Wuhan, they were like, oh, Wuhan, China. It's just all we know of China is we know that part of the world from our Vietnam movies. And we probably just assume it's 34 people in a small little Wuhan village picking rice, right? While the woman gives birth to her baby while she's picking rice. I mean,
and then Wuhan is picking rice.
Right. It's an enormous, and the baby picks rice as well. It's an enormous city. I mean, people saw pictures and be like, oh, whoa, that's Wuhan? And then when Italy started that, then you're like, oh shit, and then obviously Seattle and Washington. I did a very similar fear-mongering podcast about 3 weeks ago. And, I had a lot of people being like, Tuck, really? And I'd be like, okay. I mean, I sold 90% of my stock portfolio 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And it was like 5-6 days late, but
yeah.
I saw the writing on the wall, and I have a little bit of investing club, and I was talking to my buddies about it, and I just said, they were like, hey, are you going to start? I mean, the market was down maybe 8-10% at this point. And they were like, oh my God, what a good buying opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. And I was like, I think this is going to be far more worse than people think. Or as my 6-year-old would say, far worser. But yeah, I just think, I thought it, and I was like, I'm out.
I have the worst timing in the world. I dumped a bunch of money into the stock market in December.
Ooh, sorry. Well, I mean, like I said, the only thing that is good, I will give you this one thing. Because I was having conversations with one of my good friends whose nickname is the Hammer. You probably know her, Wendy.
Yeah.
Crush Live Poker Sub and all that stuff. Anyway, so she and I talk a little bit, and we were just talking, and we're going back and forth. And I said, listen, if your time horizon is 10, 15 years, and if you look back at 1987, in the big, Black Monday that happened, people that bought on the Friday before still made money. It took them a while to make it, but they still made money. So it's just a matter of how, what your time horizon is. I mean, if your time horizon is 12, if you want this money in 12 months.
I don't have an option now. I have to have that time horizon.
Yeah.
Luckily, I bought Bitcoin when it was December 2018 when it was 3,200.
That's better.
I'm still okay. I might buy a bit more now. It's down So, I mean, it's
let's see what the
gone
market
up
did today. What did the market
slightly.
do today?
I think the market
was down 40, S&P down 42, down
Yeah. I think it's going to
1.5%.
be down a little bit. I'm going to start buying probably next week. I think what do they call it, the dead cat? It drops
Dead cat
and then
bounce?
bounces. Yeah.
Dead
and
cat
then
bounce,
it's going to
yeah.
go down again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I think I am an eternal optimist. You know that. I am a glass half full kind of guy, but when it comes to the economy and the market, I am quite pessimistic right now. For a while. I will also jump back in at some point, but my jump in point is far below what I see other people thinking about. I don't see I see the good news. Like, okay, so we're coming out with these great tests. Like Abbott Labs came out with this awesome 5-minute test.
5 to 15 minutes. Yeah. They're starting to use it next week. That's amazing.
Right. And that's amazing. That's a huge game changer. But from what I've heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, what I'm heard, they can do 50,000 a day.
I don't know how many they can do a day.
That's what I heard. And they said they could get the number eventually up to like 1 million a week. And I'm like, okay, those are amazing numbers. Keep in mind, based on those numbers, if it was just 50,000, then you would be able to test 5 million people in 100 days or 50 million people in 1,000 days. So let's up it to 1 million. So it's much better, 1 million in a week. It would still take us a full year to test just 50 million people.
Well, I don't think we need to test everyone and anyone. I think we need to test people who show even mild symptoms, because then you need to know if you should be quarantining yourself
Right.
for 14
The problem
days.
is, though, by the time that person has mild symptoms, what have they been doing the last 4 or 5 days?
Right. And there's, I was reading about viral shedding, and they could be, while they're asymptomatic before they develop them, they could be spreading. So yeah, I mean, that's the problem with this thing, is that it is an unseen force. It's been spreading unknowingly.
I just had Fedor on my podcast, and we talked about this, and he just said, he said something that was so simple but so brilliant, because he's Fedor and he is brilliant. But he just said, he goes, there's almost always a direct correlation between how deadly something is and how contagious it can be, simply because now obviously things that are airborne or just from droplets.
John Hopkins thinks this is airborne. I was reading.
Right. But I'm saying things that are going to spread faster, but also keep in mind that because the death rate, if the death rate was 10% or 12%, people would die before they actually spread it. Or, as you say, people would actually get symptoms and then not go out as much. One of the issues with this particular virus, and this is what Fedor was saying, and it makes a lot of sense, is the fact that people are asymptomatic. I can't even say it.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. Thank you. The fact that people are asymptomatic for a couple of days, and it's not really, I'm okay. Like some people are just like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Problem is they're out and they're like, I'm fine, and they can spread it. So anyway, so getting back to what I was saying is, from terms of the economy, my only thought process, and maybe I'm just a fear-mongering, pessimistic fool, but that's not usually me, is I'm just like, I read this on Twitter, and I'll read it to you here. I just said, where is it? Hold on, I want to read this here, because this is one of my biggest concerns. One of my problems is the fact that we don't have any leadership on the federal level. And It's going from governor to governor to state by state. And the problem with rolling state shutdowns is it prolongs the replication of the virus and our country's economic pain. We need decisive leadership from the states that have not shut down, or from our federal government. Every day we wait, we prolong our collective misery. So like we see what's happening in New York. Now, California, there's word that maybe California might have just slightly gotten ahead of this by being very proactive and being like, stay home. I mean, I'm on day 18 or whatever it is of being at home. But, what are they doing in Florida and Texas and some other states?
Texas governor is refusing to do anything. I don't know if you've
That's a pretty big thing. So my only thought is, how effective is it going to be if
we're not
27
able to
if 27 of our 50 states are practicing quarantining, and 17 of the states are like, fuck this, let's spring break. You know what I mean?
So we saw what happened in Italy when people said, it's not a big deal, we're going to continue to live our lives. They're completely overwhelmed. I'm not saying that, we don't have any long-term research on this, and I'm not saying that this is for sure a possibility, but I know there's been other respiratory illnesses like SARS that, although young people recovered, they did have long-term health, I guess, like negative outcomes and a higher mortality rate within the first 5 years post-recovery. And so these are the kinds of things we don't know about. So people are like, well, it's going to be old people dying. Well, we're seeing it's not just old people. There's a lot of young people.
And by the way, like,
sick.
I like some old people. I mean, don't we? I love the people that are just like, it's only affecting over 70s. Fuck. I mean,
they're people too. Yeah.
Right.
That, and I hate that too. I hate it's going to affect old people. Well, you know what? They're people, and I enjoy having them around too. And
yeah,
what the
but to your point, right? To your point, though, it's not just affecting old people. You know, this can affect young people, and we don't know. And like you said, we don't know if there's any lasting damage to people's lungs, lung damage, whatever it might be. It's a lot of serious things. But I mean, from a heartless economic standpoint, I think people are getting excited because J&J is talking about possibly testing for a vaccine in September and possibly being able to release vaccine in 2021. I think people are excited about the Abbott Labs 5-minute test, 5 to 15-minute test. And I think you should be excited about it. I think we should be cautiously optimistic that science will eventually beat this virus. I don't think humanity is going away. I don't think this is going to beat us. I think we're going to be fine. I had a pep talk with my niece last night who she's graduating college. She's, how is this happening to me? You know, but I had a really good pep talk with her. You know, when you're 21, the world does revolve around you. And I just explained to her, I was like, her job offer that was supposed to start in June already got pushed back to September. And I've already told her, I said, expect the worst. But I think when we talk about this from an economic point of view, I just don't know how quickly we're all going to just go back to work. You know, I don't know how quickly the economy is just going to go back. And I feel like, yeah, these are all things that we should really be positive about. And we will beat this. Science will beat this at some point. But I don't think without some real lasting damage to the economy, that's going to take years to undo. And I personally think that it's just a situation where you're looking at, we're going to lose probably over 100,000 people. Businesses are going to be destroyed. People's savings just completely destroyed. The government will be trillions of more in debt, which we don't even talk about. So I just look at this and I go, I don't know. To me, the stock market was already kind of frothy. Like we had basically been going up and up and up and up and up and up for a while, and I felt like a correction was already overdue. And then you factor this in too. And to me, I see a lot more pain ahead. I'll just put it that way.
We're pretty much a society that has that enjoys instant gratification, and a recovery of this magnitude is not going to be instant. Like if you look at economies recovering from communism, I think it takes like a 1 or 2 generations. This is probably going to take like 10 years to recover from. Depending on what we do. So if we all do our best to self-quarantine, to isolate, to do social distancing, and only go outside when necessary, all of us in the United States, all of us around the world, I think we could, within like 3 to 4 months, maybe gain back some of our normal parts of life, and maybe the economy can start to come back. But if, like you said, we're sporadically doing stuff, and then some states have idiot governors who don't understand science, who don't understand data, making decisions for people, which infuriates me when people have authority and don't understand math, data, have no statistical analysis ability, and they're making decisions for people. We're going to be stalled for probably 6 to 9 months.
Well, that's my
get ahead of this.
That's my concern. My concern is, was the stock market oversold at, when the S&P was approaching 2,000? Yeah, maybe. And we got that big bounce and everything. But like you said, it's a dead cat bounce in my opinion as well. And I just feel like, well, whatever upside we just got is kind of in the market. And I don't know, when hospitals start getting overwhelmed and your neighbors start getting sick, and like I said, I mean, California, we do live in a little bit of a bubble in California, and I do think, like I look around and people seem like they're okay, and the hospitals seem like they're pretty well prepared, but you just wonder, is Texas going to be another New York? Is Florida? I'm actually worried. When I think about Florida, I go back to Italy. I had Kara Scott on my podcast to talk about what's going on in Italy, because she's been quarantined for over 3 weeks now with her family in southern Italy. And they're on a you can't leave the house order.
Right, yeah.
And, so I just wanted to get like kind of a little bit of a perspective on what she's been going through. And, people are pointing to Italy's death rate and saying, well, they have an older population. Somewhat comparable to what, Florida? So I'm thinking about how Florida has responded in such an awful way to this catastrophe, this pandemic, what they have done or what they haven't done rather to deal with this. And then I look at their aging population. My parents live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm panicked for them. I am so, my mom, she's 77 years old. They're both pretty healthy. My mom has some respiratory issues, being 77. And I just think it was incredibly irresponsible on a almost criminal level, because I always feel like, as a poker player, one of the things that angers me more than ever is I want this game to be, I want everybody to enjoy this game. The fact that Bill Perkins put a tweet out there the other day, 2 days ago, and said, "Hey, I'm thinking of teaching my 12-year-old girl how to play poker. Should I?" And I was like, "Of course you should. It's an amazing game,
right.
And you love it. Why wouldn't you share that?" And then of course people came out and were like, "Because she might make it her living. It causes awful things." And I'm like, that perception just makes me sad that people think that. So when I sit down at a poker table, I will speak up if I see somebody else trying to take advantage of a newbie, of an inexperienced player. If somebody's trying to angle shoot, it's why when I see what Mike Postle does up and to bring it full circle, when I see what Postle does up in Stones, it angers me. It just doesn't. It makes me mad that happened. Somebody took advantage. So when I see a governor in Texas just basically giving uneducated people terrible advice,
right,
it makes me angry. That pisses me off, because it's like they're looking to you for leadership, and you just lied to their face, or you're either just this absolute awful person because you lied to their face because you want the stock market to keep going up and you don't want the economy to fall apart, or you're just an incompetent moron. Either way,
probably the latter.
Right, and let's go back to Justin Curitis there. Either way,
right.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to be this pessimistic guy, because I am optimistic, and I promise people the world is not coming to an end. We will beat this, and I don't think it's gonna take 10 years. By the way, I think it'll be. But
I think 10 years, depending on what we decide to do now.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Like, I'm not concerned about optimism or fear mongering or anything like that. I want a good plan based on data sets where we can do some predictive modeling and decide what we need to do to get the best outcome, to minimize deaths and to optimize the economy as best we can. We're not going to be where we were in December again for a while. Being able to travel, being able to go to parties, being able to buy things, going to store. I mean, none of that is normal right now. We can't. I just think it depends on what we're going to implement now. It'll depend on our outcome. Do we want like a 6-month recovery economically and health-wise, or do we want 5 to 10 years? What the fuck do we want? We choose.
Well, yeah, and going back to what you said,
it is looking like over 100,000 people will die from this. I don't know if it'll be this year, or I can't remember. I should have looked it up before we.
It doesn't make. I mean, it's all predictive modeling, and it's hard to know, and hopefully it's wrong. But, and going back to what you said, I mean, we are an instant gratification type of. That's what human beings are. I've done that trick with my son. Like, hey, buddy, do you want a cookie now, or 2 after dinner? And of course, he picks. Yeah, give me that fucking cookie, Dad. And that's the thing. I mean, like, if we were to if everybody were to just stay the fuck home for 4 weeks,
treat the people who have it
And
Minimize the effects
and
of the
within
hospital.
right, and within
And
4
people are-
weeks, you would then know if you had it, and everybody.
People
And
also don't realize that there are other things you go to a hospital for. You could have an anaphylactic shock. You could have a heart attack. You might need an elective surgery. You can't walk because your knee needs to be replaced. Like, there are so many things. You might need a fucking wisdom tooth out because it's infected. So many things can happen that you won't have access to if our hospitals are over flooded.
yeah,
You don't
I
even
actually
realize that.
I took slightly too much edibles a couple of days ago.
Shut up.
And no, I'm not. I'm being dead serious. I could get Molly on the show to confirm the story.
I love that her name is Molly.
Yeah, no, I took slightly too much, and she. By the way, my wife
Were
warned
you
me.
on the verge of calling 911 or something?
I mean, I've never. I don't get high very often, but once in a while, it's legal here. I'm like once in a while an edible, and I am a giggly, laughing, happy stone guy. Okay, I've never felt this way before in my life. Like, I was paranoid. I felt nauseous. And I remember, like, shout out to my wife for, like, really being great. She's, like, looking at me like, you're okay. And I looked at her, just like, do you think maybe I need to go to the hospital? She just laughed at me. It's all kind of a haze. It was a couple of days ago, and I'm better now. But it was like, you bring it up, though. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm annoyed. I just think to myself, I'm going, there's a lot of people out there that are being selfish. At this point now, on a very simple level, when's the next time I'm going to see my parents?
Right.
Like, when's the next time that I am going to be comfortable flying across the country or having them fly across the country so I can see my parents?
I'm actually very frustrated because my dad went to Poland. So my parents, I'm originally from Poland, and my parents bought themselves an apartment in the city that my dad was born in, Wrocław.
Nice.
And my dad went out there before all of this happened, and he was going to help finish the renovations. And he ended up getting stuck there.
Oh,
And
no.
him and I were FaceTiming each other, and he was trying to find flights home. And I'm like, Dad, you own this place. You have a market next to your house. It's like a farmer's market kind of store.
Great.
I'm like, just stay put, stay safe. No, my dad insisted he can't live without my mom, which is lovely. But I'm like, Dad, do you want to spend the next, 30 years with mom, or do you want to spend potentially like another 6 weeks with her because one of you gets sick? And he wouldn't listen to me. I'm kind of disappointed, but he got someone. It felt like escaping communism again. He got my cousin to drive him to the border of Poland. Then he took a train to Frankfurt. Then from Frankfurt, he flew to Toronto, and then Toronto to Edmonton. I still have to call them and see when he got there. I think it was like last night or something.
Okay, so yeah, and is he staying quarantined from your mom for like 72 hours at least?
I doubt it. They won't listen to me. My parents infuriate me because they watch too much Fox News, and they send me links to home cures to coronavirus. And I'm like, okay, I stopped arguing with them, and I just like,
It's like my big fat Greek wedding. You just spray Windex on it, and we're okay.
Yeah. Or drink some of it. Don't drink Windex. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah. Somebody at home just did that. Now you're liable. You're in trouble there. Yeah, no, I mean, we're in this crazy time, I mean, obviously, we're all trying to get through it and figure it out. And I don't know. It is what it is. What are you going to do, right? It's crazy, but we're, hey, at least we're doing this. This is fun.
I know. I totally miss you.
And I think this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I have all the confidence in humanity, and that smart people will prevail. Science will prevail.
You know what? That is not true. That is not true. I want it to prevail. I want leaders to have science education. I want that. But the smart people are typically going into the private market.
No, I have no faith in our leadership.
Yeah.
I have no faith in our leadership, but I do have faith in private companies like, some of the great pharmaceutical companies out there, and some of the great, disease specialists and stuff to figure this out. And at some point, it'll run its course, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, who knows?
This is a great opportunity for people to start realizing that listening to experts might be the optimal line in all aspects of life. And you don't have to go to your yoga instructor to get instructions for remedies or
Namaste.
Yeah. what I mean is that it's actually a huge weight off of people's shoulders to go to the experts and use their evidence and change as that changes, and not have to do all this digging into, you know, YouTube flat earthers or whatever ignorant information is out there. Just go to the experts, see what they're seeing, see what they're recommending. As that changes, you change too. This is a great opportunity. If we continue to listen to ignorant people, we're going to have an extended recovery. I
mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering. I don't want our whole conversation to be like just.
Why not? Let's fucking do it. What else do we have to do?
But as I sit here and think,
switch to wine, by the way. This is.
I'm surprised. I'm amazed you're not.
I'll do a shot of tequila right now with you if you want.
No. I've got a.
What happened to you? I used to know you.
No, I will, but it's like I only woke up a little while ago.
Me too.
No, so my optimistic side is like science will win, right? And we will prevail. And I do think we will.
And science does win. It's winning in America.
But I'm concerned that we still have what, like 12 million anti-vaxxers? We still have another 20 million people.
Ooh, don't get me started.
That's my point. Like, I mean, we still have those people that are.
Yeah, the people who aren't suffering from polio. Yeah, those people.
Well, and that's my concern. So as long as those people are still here and we have governors in Texas doing their thing.
I think it is okay. And I'm not saying like, don't harm anyone. I think it is okay to shame people who refuse to use a scientific platform for some of their claims.
I have no problem with that.
Shame them.
Shame them just by calling them a fucking idiot.
Right. I think it's okay to.
I mean, I know somebody. I know somebody who's an anti-vaxxer. I know somebody who's an anti-vaxxer. Who?
I know a young Earth creationist.
By the way, and great. By the way, and the person who's anti-vaxxer, of course, they're vaccinated. It's just their children aren't.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad. But you know, when you look at that, and then you kind of piece that together with what's going on today, and then the fear and then the non-trust that Trump has kind of built into people in dealing with media. So now it's a question of where we actually, where is certain parts of the country actually getting their facts from, and what do they believe? And that's kind of what the issue was, 3-4 weeks ago, a month ago with this, when all the misinformation was coming out.
Well, Fox News should be liable for giving poor information about COVID, downplaying COVID-19.
Of course they should. I mean, and frankly, like I said, I mean, you look to your leaders and, I don't want to make this political, but it's like, and I don't care if it's a Democrat. I'm sure there are moron Democrats out there as well. It's not a Democrat Republican thing. I have voted Republican many times in my life. I'm very moderate. But, when you have the leader of your country coming out and tweeting, guys, let's relax. This is just the flu. It's not even this bad. The flu is worse than this. Why wouldn't just, swaths of people just be like, okay, dude, if it's just the flu, I'm not changing my life.
This one thing, I have no idea why well, I do know because we're tribal. I don't understand why, as humans, we have to become tribal with objective information. We can objectively see the numbers. We can objectively see that social distancing has led to reduced mortality rates in countries that have practiced it and enforced it. Why do we become tribal? Why do we have to divide ourselves and say, no, it's just the flu, and then the science people who say, this is more than the flu, this is a big deal, we need to have a plan? Why do we choose to respond in a tribal way? It's just, it blows my mind. Everything has to be tribal. Our politics definitely is the most tribal thing about us, but sports, politics, and now economics, like I don't understand why we can't let go of this.
Right. And the weirdest thing is that like when things that it's one thing if you and I want to sit there and you want to cheer for your San Jose Sharks, and I'm cheering for my New York Islanders, and we're like, yeah. And the game's over. We're like, okay, cool. Let's go do a shot. Let's do that shot of tequila and dance on the table. So I'm cool with that. But it always amazes me that how we get split up on things that aren't really like the equivalent of somebody just arguing like it's 4 + 4 is 8.
Right.
No, it's not. Okay. It's and you're like, wait, are we arguing about this too now?
Right.
Like the argument of I mean, there's a million different things where you can be like, yeah, I understand. I try to stay open-minded. The older I get, the more I really want to learn, So I try to, when it comes to like the gun argument or when it comes to abortion or different things, I really try to listen to the other side because I really want to be like, okay, there's a lot of really intelligent people that think something differently than I think. Let me try to figure out why they think that way. Okay. But when it comes to like science, like the earth is not flat. There was no conspiracy. We got to the moon. When it comes to a simple thing of, hey, if we practice social distancing and we're not in crowds, this virus will not spread as much. I don't understand how there's an argument.
Yeah.
Like in the argument, there was a comedian who came out and said this, and I did this, and it was really funny, and I'm going to butcher it because I'm not a comedian. But he basically came out, he said, the whole argument with coronavirus where it's like, whatever. He's like, more people die from, car accidents or more people die from the flu. And he goes, okay, listen, let's say you're in a town and there's a serial killer and he's killing people left and right, right? And then you get a new serial killer in town. If the new killer kills less than the other killer, do we just like, no, don't worry about it? No, of course not. You're like, fuck, now I got 2 things that can kill me.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, he did it in a much more funny way, but it was kind of just really logical. Like, car accidents kill a lot of people, which is why we try to build safer cars, why seatbelts are a law, and we try to do things to prevent people from dying.
And we can also drive at a normal speed and follow the rules of the road and reduce those chances.
Right. Like, there's things that kill more people each and every year, which is why pharmaceutical companies, scientists, engineers work on solutions. So these things aren't killing as many people.
Also, it's not spreading. It's not, if you got into a car accident and I was in the area, it doesn't mean I'm going to get into a car accident.
Right. And I don't think anybody logical would suggest that coronavirus is even the worst C disease. I think if somehow we could say, hey, listen, let us all go through coronavirus so we can find a cure to cancer. Probably be like, okay, let's do it. Sure. Done. Cancer is worse, right?
Right.
But again, they're not, we can't do that. So.
Right. It's not one or the other. We don't have this option. This is
we now have an extra killer. There's just another killer in our town now. So anyway,
thanks
Betty, back to the Stones
thanks
thing.
For driving me to drink today.
We are drinking. That's it. So I want to go back to really for Stones. I don't know why I'm asking you questions now. It's your podcast, but I'm curious. So the video that you showed that I recorded, which showed Mike Postle folding queens incorrectly in a spot that really wasn't all that outlandish, but it was a fold that he would never make if he was on stream and actually was getting the information. And
he was actually playing like a normal person. When you said, that's actually not a bad fold, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because he doesn't see the cards. That's why he's playing like a normal player now.
Right. Like the funny thing is, I actually pointed out, I go, if we could have found a clip like that while he was on stream,
might have been redemption.
It would have been actually evidence to show that he's not cheating.
But yeah, we can't. And I just had Jake on my show. I don't know if you watched it, but he said that a lot of the dealers actually still don't believe that Mike cheated, which I said, oh, so you can be a great dealer and still have no understanding of the fundamentals of poker. And there's still these flat earthers, Mike Postle believers, hollow earth.
Again, there's 10 million people in our country that don't believe are anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't shock me that a few dealers still think Mike Postle is innocent.
Yeah, and hate me. They hate me apparently. So.
Well, you're a bitch.
I am.
You're the one that ruined everything. So is the Stones live table gone, or have they kept it there as kind of some
there.
sort of
the whole
just sitting there as like a weird
there.
morgue-ish type thing?
Yeah, and it's table 11, and they actually used it off stream too. It's a fine table. It's actually, they got it to a point because I think you came early on when it was like a sunken table.
I was there for like
raised
I
rail.
was there for like the second day of streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's actually just like a normal table now. It looks normal, feels normal. The felt's just a little bit different, but yeah, they
Right.
had they got to a nice setup. It would have been nice to get to like a live at the bike level where we could zoom in on people. I really hated that we couldn't zoom.
Which seems so weird to me because cameras aren't expensive today. Like I feel like all you would have needed to do was buy 2 HD cameras with the capability of zooming.
So let me talk to you a little bit about.
And by the way, that's
it's
one of the
not
reasons. I just want, but before you get into, which by the way points to Stone's or Justin Curitis's ineptitude in that regard as well. Think about how long the Stone stream was going on. And when you compare it to other streams out there, how few viewers you guys got.
Well, so let me get into that.
Go.
One of my theories is Justin's involvement. First of all, he didn't want a pro in the booth. A pro would have recognized some of that shit was off right away. A pro wouldn't be like, put up the meme, it's Mike Postle the God. A pro would be like, hey, this isn't a thing. And then this hasn't been a thing for 4 hours. What is fucking going on here? Number 2, the camera zooming higher quality would have shown something's
Good
off.
point. Okay, maybe.
Looking down at his crotch. Number 3, he stopped promoting it. Everything started to slow down and the quality didn't improve. He threw anybody in the booth.
Wow, you know what? You know what's really interesting? You know, it's interesting. The pro poker player thing doesn't really make a difference because, if I'm only commentating
once
every 4 months, I'm not going to notice it. I'm not going to notice enough in 4 months, right? If you have a regular pro.
Okay, listen. If you saw that commentary that Jake and I did January 15th of 2019, the whole game we were like, what the fuck is going on? Someone would have saw that.
No, what I'm saying is, right, if you had a pro in there every single day as a regular, like Bart and I did live at the bike way back in the day, then there would have been a point where we're like, sometimes it's hard to see it when it's right in front of your face, which is why I'm always very hesitant to, like, when some people were like on the commentators and I'm like, stop, you have no idea. Like when you're commentating on something, the last thing you're thinking of is, wait a second, somebody's cheating. You're just thinking, holy shit, what a call. Oh my God, this is amazing. Anyway, though, to your point though,
I think it was all established this way by Justin.
I was going to say, I never really thought about this, though. It's obviously a pretty...
Because Berkey was in the last game that I did commentary in. They didn't even promote it. Berkey's a huge name. Marley showed up. Christian Soto. How are they not promoting this?
That's my point. So I'm actually kind of thinking this through, and I never really... It's kind of a fun little conspiracy rabbit hole you go down, and I never really thought of that because I've done a lot of Crush Live Poker videos and Crush Live Poker podcasts. And one of my themes as a poker player, and something that certainly helped my game, is a very simple concept of what is your opponent trying to accomplish?
Right.
If you could do the opposite of what your opponent's trying to accomplish, you're probably going to win. Obviously, easier said than done because our opponents are not trying to reveal what they're trying to accomplish,
Right.
But if you can figure out what somebody is trying to accomplish by their bet sizing, by their actions, by whatever they are doing at the table, because everything you do at the poker table conveys information.
Thank you, Daniel.
But, if you can try to put together a story of what is my opponent trying to accomplish, you can often be like, oh, now it makes sense. Okay, I call or I fold or I raise. I never really thought about why is the show not promoted? Why is the quality, the production quality so bad? Why are the viewers so few? Like Bart's doing some live stream in Texas where they got like 2,000 viewers. It's like some dingy it's like some small little Texas thing. I actually used some of the footage for Crush Live Poker. But that makes a lot of sense though. If I'm Justin, I don't want 4,000 people watching this every night.
Do you know how many times I would say, hey, let's talk, Justin? And I would be like, everyone in the booth is a color commentator. We need a pro. You need to pay a pro what a good hourly would be for a pro, and you need to have a pro and a color commentator. And that's what you should do. Or if someone can do both, that would be great. Someone like you and Bart, you guys were both pros, both technically knowledgeable about the game, and you were entertaining. But we just had a lot of entertainment. We didn't have anyone who could break down the hand technically. We had people who thought they could, but obviously that wasn't true. But that's another, if we had someone in there who was technically minded, who understood, they probably would have spotted it after.
Yeah. It's interesting though. I mean, when you start thinking about it going,
he resisted everything.
What are you trying to accomplish? And if early on it was, hey, I want to grow this stream, I want to build it up, and then it went from there to, oh, I can make a few $1,000s here and there by just keeping this going.
I think honestly, him and Mike were just bringing players in to fleece them, and just come on down,
and
dump your money.
To me, that's the thing that makes me the most nauseous. Is that, I mean, I don't know Mike from a hole in the wall. You know, I played poker with him a couple times. I went out with him that one night after Veronica and Friends, but I don't know him.
Shout out to the mix.
Yeah. But Justin and I consider Justin a friend. And
I mean, me too.
For him to invite me to play in a game, fully knowing that I would be cheated.
It's sickening.
If he knew, that's just like, there's very little in my mind that, like, loyalty to me is a huge thing. There's very little, like, it's one thing if you want to be a thief, if you want to be a criminal, and, you know, it's one thing to kind of rob from people you don't know. Yeah, you're a dick. But to actually cheat your own friends?
Listen, this guy had multiple people come up to him and say, we think Mike's cheating. And then he gives him his own show. And then he promotes him as the best. And he brings us all to fleece us.
Well, yeah, like I said, if either just grossly incompetent and negligible.
Show me a world where he's not involved. I would be flabbergasted if he wasn't. I think he's completely
the frustrating
because he thought he could sell this to us.
The frustrating thing to me is that I want to see where this goes. I mean, I think that people need to be held accountable financially and criminally. I mean, to me, Mike Postel should do time.
Yeah.
And if Justin is found guilty, I think he should do time. I think he should be in jail. I mean, he stole from people.
So how are you and your family doing with this quarantine?
We're doing, I think we're trying to keep perspective, you know, and I think we're very lucky. You know, we've got a nice house. We've got a nice backyard. We live in California where it's warm relatively, so we can go in the backyard and play. You know, we're healthy. So, you know, all things considered, I think we're fine. You know, obviously it's stressful and difficult, but nothing to complain about, and certainly nothing that everybody else isn't going through as well. I think quarantining with children, very, very different than quarantining without children.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there's good and there's bad to that. You know, I mean, obviously I love my boys to death. You know, would I like to have an hour or two away from them once in a while? Yeah, of course. But, you know, in the scheme of things, I feel blessed and lucky to be where I'm at, you know, and I think that's important.
I think anyone that I speak with, if they bring up the fact that they're so bored or anything, I'm like, hey, we're healthy. We're helping society right now, and we're healthy. So let's count our blessings. We could be intubated in the ICU right now. So
exactly. Or, I mean, I see these horrible stories where, you know, there are people out there that are dying alone because once they get put into you're in that. Once you are diagnosed with the coronavirus, if you're in the hospital, you can't have visitors.
No, like, actually, we're not letting anyone visit in the hospital, I believe.
Period. Right.
Yeah, and then
they don't want to let other people get. They don't want to let the other people get sick also. So, like, I think about it, I'm like, God forbid my mom got this. That I don't get to see her. Yeah. I can't visit her. I can't. You know, that's just terrifying to me. But anyway, I try to keep it in perspective. Like I said, I am not bored because I have kids. That's not the issue. Like we have a different side of it. It's not, I'm not bored at all. It's more of just like, Mal and I were like joking about this in the beginning during quarantine. We're like, man, we're going to learn a foreign language. And
yeah, I thought that too.
I'm going to read 10 books over the next,
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I've read no books and I haven't learned a foreign language yet.
But have you watched Tiger King?
We're 2 episodes in.
Oh my God. It's the best. It's the best clusterfuck I've ever seen in my life.
The music videos are
Amazing.
Priceless. Yeah. The music videos are priceless. So
Joe Exotic. Shout out to Joe Exotic and his music videos. Okay, well, we don't have to, I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate it.